So welcome everybody to this EBCU webinar, and I'm pleased to introduce Ferry Wijnhoven, who's going to talk about, and Ferry's laughing at my pronunciation, but we're
Well,
going to talk, who's going to talk to us about making an online beer community. Ferry's well known in Europe for the Beer Geeks, and I'm sure there's a lot of information he's going to share. So welcome, Ferry, and we look forward to hearing from you this evening. Over to you.
thank you so much, Brett. Well, welcome everybody to this webinar, and thank you for the invitation, Brett and EBCU. I'm going to talk about the Beer Geeks Facebook group I founded in 2013. I'm going to share my screen now so we can all take a look. So let me see if this works. So you do see my screen right now,
Yep,
I guess. Okay, that's good
perfect.
news. Yeah, so the Beer Geeks Facebook group has also been an associated member of the EBCU since 2 years now. So I'm very happy to be able to talk about this community and to give you some ins and outs about this community and the stuff which I think binds people to that community and what makes a beer community. So let me see if I can get this going. Yes, here we go. So this is our logo of the group. You hear some background noise. My dog behind me is starting to drink some water and is very thirsty. So I'm sorry for the background noise. So I would like to ask you if you have any questions, put them in the chat or maybe keep them to yourself till the end of the presentation so I can just move on through the presentation. And I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have. So let me first take you to the timeline of this Beer Geek Facebook group because it's quite an interesting one, I would say. So in 2013, it all started. Back then, I discovered a lot of beers. I discovered there's so much more than Pilsner alone. That was mainly due to this Belgium television show, Tournée Générale, where two guys crossed across the Belgian country, drinking all kinds of beers and discovering all kinds of breweries. I loved that show, and together with my wife, we started watching that and getting beers in-house to drink and to discover all kinds of beers. Went to my favorite shops, to the supermarket to find any beer I could get my hands on, to check it out and to see what it's all about. And I posted this all on my own Facebook page. Back then, 2013, Facebook was very hip and happening, very different than nowadays, I would say. And I was thinking that everybody loved this, loved my adventure in beer. And because I saw it as a beer adventure I was going on, I posted this on my Facebook and I thought everybody was wanting to see this. But that was, in fact, not per se the case. I found out that a couple of aunts from mine, they didn't like it so much. And they said they only saw me posting beers and that was all they saw on their Facebook timeline. They got a bit annoyed by this and had some worries. So then I thought, well, this is not the way to go. So let's make a group on Facebook. You can make a closed group where you can put in people and then just talk privately about this. So that's when in October 2013, I started the Facebook group Beer Geeks. And back then I thought the name was original. Well, little did I know. I put some 20 friends in there who also were on the same adventure with me. The same things. We discovered beer together. So these 20 members, we just started talking about beer and reviewing beer, giving each other tips on where to find a particular beer. The beer landscape in 2013 was very different than 2026. So we were kind of discovering all kinds of new beer styles and telling each other about it. And this was so much fun that the 20 members started to each invite also 20 different members because they also wanted their friends to be part of this new beer group. And then the ball started rolling really quickly within 1 year. So we already reached 500 members in our new group, which is quite fast growth, I would say. So this started to expand and explode because every day new members came in, and the group started growing really fast. And we kind of felt the need to also meet each other in real life. So not only behind the computer, because people started to know each other and we started to connect from behind the computer. Then we felt the need, maybe we should also see each other real life. So what we started to do back then was to organize Beer Geeks meetings where we just go to a city, particular city, maybe do a walk, do a tour, visit some famous cafes or breweries, and then meet each other in real life. So here you see a picture of about 50 beer geeks in front of the famous proeflokaal Arendsnest in Amsterdam. So this was, well, not the first, I would say, but one of many of the beer geeks meetings we did. This group started growing and exploding and was quite an active group and active members, people talking to each other, and they felt really part of this community, this new beer community we created in the Netherlands. There was also a need for merchandise. People wanted to show that they were part of this community, and I felt the need for some merchandise also. So I started making T-shirts, but I also started making glassware, so like branded glassware. I first time I did this was August 2016, where I ordered 1,000 beer glasses with our logo on it, and that was being delivered in on my front doorstep of my house on a pallet. Without my wife knowing it. So she got the surprise when she got home from work that day. But then I had a problem because I needed to distribute all of those beer glasses to the people who bought them. And they paid in advance, so I could buy the glasses. Because there's no money in the Beer Geeks group. No one is paying anything. So I asked them to pay up front, and then I could order these glasses. So here you see me with a baby stroller with loads and loads of Beer Geeks glasses on my way to catch the train to Utrecht in the Netherlands to distribute all of these glasses to the people who ordered one of those. So after 5 years already, in November 2018, we reached a milestone of 10,000 members. So I would say this went really quick. In 5 years' time, we had 10,000 members. Coincidentally, this was around the same time we existed for 5 years. So we celebrated our 5th anniversary as a Beer Geeks group and also celebrated our 10,000th member. Because of this, because of these celebrations, we decided we wanted someone to make a beer for us, for those Beer Geeks members, for the community, because it really became a tight community. So we asked in the group, we asked just plain to the brewers, okay, we are now 5 years old. We have our 10,000 member. So these are two big occasions to celebrate. Who wants to brew a Beer Geeks beer? A beer especially made for this community, for these beer geeks who are always reviewing your beers, who are always showing you love and always showing the latest trends and the newest places to go. So, and actually one of the brewers from the Netherlands called Van der Streek from Utrecht, they said, well, of course we want to do that. We want to brew a beer for the Beer Geeks to celebrate 5 years of Beer Geeks and 10,000 members. But we don't want to make any money off of you guys because you're always reviewing our beers and this is a great community. We don't want to make any money. So let's make a beer, and the money coming from that beer we will give to charity. And what kind of charity? That was the question. Well, that was answered quite quickly because one of our earlier members died of the muscular disease ALS, not too long before we celebrated 5 years. So for us, it was immediately clear, okay, we're going to brew a beer with Van der Streek in Utrecht, with the administrators of the group, and every money that comes from that will go to the ALS charity. When we posted this in the Beer Geeks group, a lot of other breweries responded to that and saying, well, if it's for charity, we want to join, and this is a great idea, please let us be part of it. So in this way, the Beer Geeks beat ALS, that's what we call it nowadays. That charity event was born then. And we brewed that year, we brewed a beer with around 40 Dutch breweries, raising a little over 40,000 euros for the ALS Foundation. I will talk a little bit more on this later in the presentation. So skipping ahead in time, I don't have to tell anyone that during COVID, it was a very hard time for everyone, for the people at home, but especially, of course, for the hospitality industry. And in that sense, also the brewers who couldn't deliver any beer anymore to bars, pubs, hotels. So we kind of felt the need as a big beer community in the Netherlands to support the breweries, which were struggling at that point. So we decided to create a dot calendar, dot standing for drinking apart together, where we made a calendar during lockdown. We made a calendar where every day we put a different brewery in the spotlight. And we asked our community, please, on that day, make sure you buy a beer from that brewery and please drink it on that day, post it, and give support. And in this way, you're not only giving mental support to the brewers and the breweries, but also some financial support. This became a huge success. Also a little bit on that later in the presentation. So luckily, COVID was over October 2023. At this moment, the Beer Geeks community existed for already 10 years, something I wasn't expecting or anything. Anyway, it went by really quickly. We celebrated 10 years of Beer Geeks by organizing different kinds of bottle shares all over the country. And really nice way of sharing the joy in real life by doing lots of bottle shares. So right now we're over 18,000 members, still going strong, still doing a lot of activities, still a very active community. I know a lot of people are leaving Facebook, or Facebook is declining, even Instagram is somewhat declining. But we as a Beer Geeks community, we're still growing, still going strong. And I would like to show you some statistics on that and explain a little bit why I think that is the case. Actually, there is truly never a dull moment on Beer Geeks. It's always something happening, always something nice to read, or anything happening. It's always on Beer Geeks. So who are we? Some statistics for you to show. As an administrator, as a founder of the group, I have some access to some statistics of the groups, which I thought was nice to show you. I can show you only the past 60 days. That's all Facebook would allow me to see. And this is from 25th of March. On the top graph, you see the growth of our group. So as you can see, it goes up, it goes down a little bit, it goes up, it goes down a little bit, but we're still growing. As you can see, we've passed the 18,140. I think at this moment we're at 18,153. So we're still a growing group, which is really nice. The bottom graph, you can see the member requests per day. So I don't know what happened the 25th of April, but it was a very popular day with some 12, 13 people wanting to join. On the bottom, you can see in these 60 days that in 60 days we approved 128 member requests and we denied 8. And why would we deny them? Well, that's basically because those are not real humans, but they're spam bots. And I think maybe people who know Facebook know that this is currently going on. But actually, Facebook is nice enough to change some things within their algorithms that will change the amount of spam bots. And I have an example of this. The bottom graph now is changing. The top graph stays the same. The bottom graph is changing. And I now have a picture of 2024. So also 60 days. And here you can see when we're looking at the amount of member requests that in 60 days time in 2024, we approved 207 members, but we denied 783. So that's all spam bots. That's all not human beings trying to enter all kinds of groups, also our Beer Geeks group. So in these 60 days, we checked over 1,000 profiles to see whether or not it's a human or it's a spam bot, because we do have to check every profile of a person, or well, every profile that wants to become a member, we do check it. So luckily, Facebook now has changed a little bit, is helping us a little bit more, and now we don't get that much spam bots anymore. So let's take a look at gender and age. Unfortunately, and I really do mean unfortunately, still over 80% is male. We have 14% female and 3% of people who don't want to say, which is in gray. We're actively trying to get more female members in the group. Also, my own administration, my admins. We have 3 administrators. One of those is female. But yeah, that's still a big thing, but I think it's everywhere in the beer business, unfortunately. So when we're taking a look at the age, we see that most of our members are between the age 35 and 44, and then about 45 to 54, the same amount as 25 to 34. You see that we don't reach that much young people. Between the age 18 and 24, that's really, really a low number because they're mainly not on Facebook anymore, I would say. And I'm very happy to see that we don't have any members under the age of 18. Because in the Netherlands, it's not allowed to drink any alcohol under the age of 18. So I'm very glad there is no bar over there. Where are we all coming from? Well, being a Dutch beer community in the basis, most of us are from the Netherlands. So over 14,500 members are from the Netherlands. Of course, we have a big community of Belgians, but also people from the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, Brazil, France, Italy. Basically, we have members from all over the world, but of course, the majority is Dutch. On the right side, you can see where in the Netherlands we're all from. Amsterdam being the biggest, then Utrecht, Den Haag, Tilburg, Nijmegen, Arnhem. On the bottom, that's where I live. So these are the bigger cities in the Netherlands. It's kind of logical, right? Oh, sorry. Like this. Yes. So let's take a look. Are those members active or not? Because you can have so much members, but if they don't post anything or they're not online, well, what's the use? So we can also take a look at in 60 days time, how much people posted. And this is a little bit older graph, but I still put it in here because I loved the top graph on the right side, this extra peak. I will explain a little bit later. So on the top graph, you can see the amount of posts per day. And you can see it go up and down. So up and down, this is a week cycle, meaning the upper part of each of those small graphs, that's the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There you can see people post the most. So the bottom part of these graphs, that's of course Monday, Tuesday, where people don't drink that much. So it goes nicely up and down. You can see this weekly cycle. So meaning people are still being active and people are still posting in the same way as we've always been doing. So this extra peak at the 6th of April, that's really nice. And I put this in there because of this. There in one day, over 300 people posted something in the Beer Geeks group. And that was because of our special event, the Beer Geeks Swap, where we post or give each other a real life present. And you need to post that in the group. But also that a little bit more later in the presentation. In the bottom part of this graph, you can see the amount of active members. So as you can see, we have more than 11,000 active members during the course of 60 days. So out of these 18,000, 11,000, over 11,000 are members posting or responding within 60 days. Meaning we do have an active community. Of course, there are always people that have a Facebook account but don't use it anymore. And they're also in the group. So when we look at the days, when is the most popular day to post? On the left side here, these are the days from Monday to Sunday. You can see Saturday is the most popular day, of course, to post something. On the right side, I can click on each day to see the time of day, which is the most popular. And on this side, I clicked on Friday. The V stands for Vrijdag, so Friday. And Friday, we see at 9 o'clock, people post the most. Now, when you take a look at this one, so the left side is still the same, but the right side now changed on Saturday. We can see the peak at around 10 o'clock in the morning, which I think is really fun and which I think shows that people still have a real life without, besides the computer. Because what happens is they can drink with friends, or maybe they're watching a movie or a television show. They have a nice beer, and at a certain point, they don't want to go on social media anymore. They want to talk to friends. They want to watch the movie, whatever. They don't post anymore. So, but the next morning they wake up and they start to think, well, I had this great beer last night. I want the rest of the community to know about this. So then in the morning during breakfast, you can see they start posting like, oh, I had this great beer yesterday evening. And of course, when we take a look at Sunday, it's also nice to see. If we take a look at Sunday, we see we start drinking really earlier in the day. You see, during the day, all people are posting and drinking, with the peak being at around 8 o'clock. Um, so that's some statistics about the group. Let's take a look at what makes this group our own, which I think makes a beer community, or what you can learn from when you create a beer community. When I created this community, I also wanted to be a real life community, not only online. And I started to think on how I could make that happen. And bottle shares were one of the earliest things I did, besides meetings, where I put together people in real life and when we get enjoy beer together. So I went to my favorite pub, asked if a group of friends could come over, bring their own bottles, open the bottles in their bar, share the beers, and enjoy each other's company. Well, they finally agreed and let me do this on a slow Wednesday evening to attract some extra traffic, but also to show what the bar is about. Because you have a group of beer geeks, your target audience in your bar at that moment, looking at your beer list, etc. So this we started doing from 2013 onwards. And I've always been doing this at my own bar, my own pub, but we also started expanding to different kinds of pubs. Always a big success where we in real life meet each other. We share stories, we share great beers, and just have a great time. So this is one of the things I started to organize to really make people meet each other in real life and not only online. This was such a big success that after a couple of years, other people started to like copy this event, started to make their own bottle share beauty, as I call it. Here you can see one in Leiden, the Beer Geeks Bottle Share Beauty in Leiden. But also Utrecht, Bottle Share Beauty Utrecht. It says here edition 4, but I think they're already at edition 20 already. People asking, or Rick Kempen in this case, asking in the group, well, after such a big success, it's such a phenomenon, should we also do one in Amsterdam? And if so, which night should we do it? And then in the end, he organized it. It's here you can see his first edition, but also I think he's now at edition number 10 or so. Pubs started to take notice, and started to actively ask me, can you please organize a bottle share in my bar? To get the attention of the beer geeks, because that's the target audience, and also maybe to get some traffic in on a slow Wednesday evening, for instance. So here you can see a poster from one bottle share we did in Eindhoven in the Van Mol pub. But also we did a few vintage bottle shares where this company, who is an expert in vintage beers and has a great venue in Breda, asked me, can we maybe do a vintage bottle share in our venue? Because all of these beer geeks, they have their own aged beers in their own cellar. So maybe it's a nice time to get a beer out of their own cellar, to bring it and have a nice vintage bottle share. A very big success. In the end, it's all about this. This is what it's about. It's about meeting people in real life. It's about sharing your passion, sharing stories, and sharing great beers. This is what these bottle shares are all about. I already told you meetings. We do a lot of meetings. Here again, a picture in front of Proeflokaal Arendsnest. But over the years, we did so many meetings where a group of beer geeks came together in real life. Here you see us having a tour at the brewery Oersoep in Nijmegen. This bottom picture, we had a barbecue afternoon in the garden of the Eltje Brewery in Haarlem. We went to Navel, but also we even went camping together. So here's a picture of us 2 years ago, camping with a big group of beer geeks in real life. And actually, I just came back from this weekend from our camping trip. Here you see us, this is 2 days ago, where we go camping together with the big flag in the back, to meet each other in real life and not only see each other behind the screen. And you can take my word from it. Camping is so much fun when you do it together with some beer geeks. So besides camping and besides the meetings, we have an event called Beer Geeks Television, where on the Friday night, the last Friday night of the month, we go to a brewery and we stream live in the Facebook Beer Geeks group when we get a tour by the brewer himself, giving us a tour through the brewery, showing us everything. And we go there with a few people. One of those people is checking the live stream in the Beer Geeks group, checking the chat. And if someone has a question, he will read out the question to the brewer, and the brewer can immediately respond. So it kind of feels like you're actually there in the brewery. And we do a tour, we do a tasting, and people can just go into the Bakery's Facebook page, check out the live stream, and then maybe see a tour of famous breweries like Jope or Moersleutel or Bronkhorst. So we did all kinds of nice tours. Breweries were so excited about this that they started asking us to come over. And when we did in advance, they made a special beer box with the beers we are going to taste during the tour. So the beer geeks in advance could buy the box, could put the beers in a refrigerator. And when we did the live stream and when we did the tasting with the brewer, they could also grab the beer from the fridge, taste it, and ask the brewer any questions, and which he immediately responded. So it really feels like you're also there on that same couch. So this was one of the highlights we have in the Beer Geeks group. This one is a different one. It's the Beer Geeks Swap, what I already mentioned earlier. So this is a nice event we do twice a year. In the Beer Geeks group, twice a year, it's Christmas morning. Why is that? You can also join the Beer Geek Swap. If you want to join, your name gets randomly attached to a different Beer Geek, and you need to select 6 beers for that different Beer Geek. And you're going to send a box of 6 different beers, which you think the other person should test, the other person should try. Each beer geek has a beer geek swap profile in which he or she says, well, I'm into this beers and I really don't like that beer. So you can maybe check it out a little bit and maybe go specifically in one direction or the other. But you get a name of a different beer geek and you get a date, an end date, and you need to make a box, a gift, a present for that other person. So you can buy 6 different beers, and of course you have to make it a great happening and a great celebration. So I've seen people putting balloons in there. I've seen people putting merchandise of breweries in there. I've seen a confetti cannon go off once a person opened the box. Um, so this is the Beer Geeks swap, where it's not one-on-one connection, but it's totally random. So you get a name, but that doesn't mean that person also has your name. It's just totally random. And the last Beer Geek swap, we had 350 members joining in this. So 350 members bought 6 different beers, wrapped them, put the presents in, etc., and send it. And we made the agreement that we do the unboxing and we post the picture at a certain time at a certain date. So always on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, you can post your pictures. Well, on that day, on that particular day, it's awesome to check out the Beer Geeks Facebook group because you see only happy people. You see Christmas morning XXL version, people happy with their gifts and reading out letters one person made for the others. It's well, it's a really nice way of interacting with each other without being in real life contact with each other. And twice a year, Christmas morning, that's just great. Who doesn't want that? So, of this beer drinking, we also need to take care of our health a little bit. So, we've started to organize Beer Geeks walks through different cities, different natures, where we set out a walk of about 10 kilometers as one person organizing it for this city, another person for another city. And we walk for about 10 kilometers, or we hike for 10 kilometers. And of course, we stop by breweries, beer shops, or beer cafes, making it very interesting also to visit those. So, usually, we have about 4 beer stops in between, and we have a complete day of walking together with about 50 beer geeks. And I can tell you by just walking 10 kilometers with your fellow beer geek, you start to chat, you start to talk, and you start to get to know each other. A real nice thing to do where we also put in a little bit, or we take a little bit care of our health, and we combine that with beer spots. And of course, we might drink a beer during the walk as well. I can't say that we don't do that. We've now visited already cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Utrecht, Amersfoort, well, different kinds of cities, big success. And we even went international. We did one in London and we did one in Edinburgh. And there are a few ones in the which are coming up still. Um, Yes. Uh, Totally different thing, but very unique for Beer Geeks is the Beer Geeks World Domination Map, where we got a lot of questions of people asking this weekend. I'm in the city of Haarlem. Who can recommend a nice beer spot for me to go? Well, this question popped up so many times that we decided to do something about it and create this Beer Geeks World Domination Map. It's kind of Google Maps, but the reviews are all by beer geeks, by people in the beer geek community for the beer geek community. So we pin great bars, we pin restaurants doing something with beer, we write reviews and we post pictures. So if you're searching on the Beer Geeks World Domination Map in Utrecht, for instance, you can find all great beer spots there with real reviews by real beer geeks and real images. So the Netherlands, as you can see, is completely filled. But let's say you're going to the Philippines, you have no clue where to drink a beer. Then, of course, you can go to the Beer Geeks World Domination Map. And there you can just click on the button. And there you can see, okay, if I want to drink a beer in the Philippines, I can go to the brew house or the Coron Brewery. And there is a real review by a real beer geek. So we now have the complete world, or almost the complete world, covered by real reviews of real beer geeks. And of course, one of the biggest events we have is the Beer Geeks Beat ALS charity event, which I already mentioned before. We do a yearly collaboration with as many Dutch breweries as possible, brewing one beer, and all of the profits of that beer will go to the ALS Foundation. We had one member dying of the ALS disease, and that made such an impact that we now do this charity once a year. It's the biggest collaboration beer in the Netherlands, and I'm almost certain if I say it's the biggest collaboration in beer in the world. We did a collaboration beer last year with 89 Dutch breweries called Beyond the Horizon. This year, in the bottom right, you can see the beer of this year's edition, No Time Like Now. We brewed this with 80 Dutch breweries. So it's the biggest collaboration I've ever encountered. We even tried to convince the Guinness World Book of Records. They wanted to come, they wanted to check, but they asked 5,000 euros for this. And then we thought, well, this money can also go to the ALS Foundation. So we decided to not go ahead with the Guinness Book of Records, but just to name it unofficially the largest collaboration in the world. And we've now raised over 567,000 euros with our charity for the ALS Foundation. Yes. So with such a large number, we can have some strength. We have some strength. We can make some nice stuff happen. I have some examples here. There was once a beer, a one-off beer by Haarlem Brewery Jopen. It's called Zwarte Ziel, which was a great beer. It was so awesome, but they didn't want to brew it again because it was a one-off. So I posted here, 27th of November 2016. I want the Jopen Zwarte Ziel to be brewed again. Please, who is with me? And I asked the CEO or head of church, as he calls himself, Michel Ordeman. He said to me, well, if you get 111 yes votes, I will brew it again. And as you can see here, we got over 300 votes, all of them being, or almost all of them being yes. So in the beginning of 2017, CEO of Jopen, he posted himself saying, great news for the people who voted yes with a picture of a beer. Of course, that was the Zwarte Ziel being brewed again because, well, we asked or demanded it. That was so nice. I got invited to the release of that beer because I kind of made it happen with the Beer Geeks group. So I got invited and I could ask or I could talk about the beer and about the Beer Geeks group during the release party of that beer. Nowadays, after that one, it's an annual beer. They once a year make this beer. They even have an event around it called Zwarte Ziel Zondag. So it's basically a complete event surrounding this yearly, this annual beer, with this year even merchandising. All because we demanded it to be back, come back. So I talked about the DOT, drinking apart together during COVID. We made a calendar and we decided to wanted to support the breweries And as you can see here, for instance, this is just an example, 12th of April, we asked people to support Oproer. And here you see an example, Luc de Duc. He's saying, well, this is a great beer. And he posted that really happy with the dot. Otherwise, he wouldn't have checked out the beer. So this became a big hit, such a big hit that breweries also started to take notice, and they started to make packages for beer geeks to buy. And they said, well, on our day, our dot day, we're going to do an online live stream or online stream where you can just go ahead and grab your box of beer, and we will do a tour and we will do a tasting together, kind of the same we did with Beer Geeks Television, but we were first. And then you can have a nice tasting together with us. So people started making dot boxes for the beer geeks to buy. Big success. Even such a success that the Belgian part of Beer Geeks started to take notice and started to say, well, why not the Belgium? So here you can see a Belgian member asking the group, well, we want to also do a Belgian dot support. And at one point, we decided to literally blend the Dutch and the Belgian beer community together by asking the community, please buy a Belgian beer, please buy a Dutch beer, and you can choose from this list and drink them separately, post them separately, but then literally blend them together. And we blended together the Dutch and the Dutch and the Belgian beer community. And then you can post that. All to give some support to the brewers during hard times. This became such a success that Utrecht Brewery 11 wanted to thank us when the lockdowns were over, when COVID was completely over. They asked us which beer style would you like as a thank you. We voted, the beer geeks voted, and it was a fruited gozer. And that one was especially made as a thank you to the group for the support we gave them during the hard COVID times. So, of course, there's also a downside to a big community. There are members who pass away, or there's a certain member, for instance, that has a partner who passed away, who needs our support. What we then do when we know this, what we do is we post a beer with a candle and we say hashtag troostbier, which means comfort beer. So the person that needs support at that moment, they get the support by just going through the page and seeing all of these beers with the candle next to it, with all of the hashtags troostbier. So this is just one example. This was one of our members who was passing away, and his best friend had a really hard time. So we posted all kinds of comfort beer, troostbier, to give some comfort to him. This one, a beer for Oscar, we do every 24th of December. This Oscar was the member with ALS disease who died, made a big impact to our community. He died on the 24th of December. He asked me to post his final letter in the Beer Geeks group. He made a letter for the Beer Geeks Facebook group explaining everything and saying thank you and goodbye. This made such a huge impact that every 24th of December, every year, ever since, we all post either a Cuvée Delphine from Struisen or a Westmalle in his honor with the hashtag A Beer for Oscar. If you're ever on the Beer Geeks Facebook page on the December 24th, you can scroll whatever you want and you can only see these two beers with the hashtag A Beer for Oscar. It's very impressive to see. What we do differently, and this is the part where I think if you want to build a community, you have to stand out and you have to do it a little bit different than others. So what we do different than other groups, because there are more beer group or more beer groups, more beer communities out there, of course. What we do differently is, for instance, we have a pub topic. We found out, or we saw that a lot of people love to talk about non-beer related stuff, and they started doing that under a post of someone doing a review of a beer. That's not always appreciated, but there was a need for people to connect, to interact, and we created the pub topic. In Dutch, we call it the kroeg topic, or the off-topic topic. And in this topic, you can talk all you want about any beer you like, or any non-beer related stuff you like. So people can post pictures of their holidays or whatever, it doesn't matter. And here, this is just like a real life pub. You can just talk about anything as long as it's not beer related. After 1,000 comments, the pub is closed. and we open a new pub. So we are now at pub number 455, meaning there's already 455,000 people saying something about non-beer related stuff, talking to each other, etc. A big hit, and this is really a way of connecting people together, even though it's not always beer. And people start to now know each other. They start to know what kind of job someone has or what type of vacation someone is doing, etc. So this is really a nice way of connecting to people outside of beer. Of course, this group is very interesting for a lot of breweries, etc. They want to make advertisement in the group. Well, we don't want a group filled with advertisement, so we made an advertisement topic where, as a store or as a brewery, you can post whatever you want, saying this is my new beer, or we have a nice thing going with buy 6 beers, only pay 5, whatever. You can do this in the advertisement topic, so we don't get overwhelmed by all advertisements. Same goes for surveys. Because we're this big a group, we noticed a lot of surveys entering the group. These are all students by a certain school, which found our group very interesting. They want to all have us do a survey, but all of these surveys kind of are the same way. And we got overwhelmed by the amount of surveys, so we made a special topic where they can post their survey. This one, really, really important when I think of it. Funny images. Humor is really personal. What one person finds funny, the other person finds annoying. So funny pictures like this one, it's really not funny. No one is laughing. So we decided to ban all of these kinds of funny images. So that's not allowed in the group. Another one which we do something different is our admin account. We need sometimes to put a lock on a certain topic because it gets out of hand. And if you do that as a person, you will be looked at as a person, and that might have some negative influences in the future. So we decided to create a different page, which is called admin account. And this admin account, this page has become the admin of our Beer Geeks group, meaning I can switch to this account and I can post under that account, and no one will see if it's me or if it's my other admin or my other administrator. They only will see admin account is saying this and this and this. So this is making things a little bit less personal. AI is taking over. Now we can have people saying, if you use AI, you should put on the AI label so people can see it's AI and it's not a real picture. And we stimulate descriptions. We don't want all the complete page filled with just a cheers and a picture of a beer. They're also there, and that's fine, but we stimulate people describing their beers and describing their experiences. So it just gets a group which filled with content which is really nice to read and to scroll through. So I need to hurry up a little bit, I can see. But because we're such a big group, we're starting to create our own language, started to create our own little terms and kind of our own tweaks and our own languages. For instance, one example is the Dutch word blubberdik, which means really thick, thick as mud. And if we drink a beer which is thick beer, black beer, we call it a blubberdikke jetser. So a lot of people are using this term, blubberdikke jetsers. It's really, especially in this group, in this community where this term is being used. And you now see also breweries taking advantage of that, trying to get the attention of this group of the beer geeks, saying people blubberdikke jetser, mensen, meaning like really thick beer, but copying the language we created in our community. There's even a brewery that had a complete line which was called Blubberdikke Jetser, and they released all kinds of beers under this line, under this name. We also have stuff like this where there's a festival with a discount, especially for the beer geeks. On the left side, you see Tallinn Craft Beer Weekend with a special beer geeks discount. In the middle, you can see the Van Mol Festival. That's a beer festival in Eindhoven, where they create a separate area for us, for the beer geeks, where we can sit, where we can enjoy, to try to get people over to the festival. We even do a pub quiz in that special area. On the right side here, you can see we do giveaways. So we give away lots of tickets for beer festivals where you have to just enter by posting a picture of yourself, for instance, in this case with an animal, because it was the Brew at the Zoo beer festival. So they really know how to find us and really know how to like take advantage of us. And this question I get asked daily. So because you can't make an advertisement yourself on the Facebook page, but only in the advertisement topic, but that's not so well read. And if I post something, people will read it, and I have the biggest range of all of the beer geeks. So I get this question asked almost daily in my messenger. Can you please post this for me in Beer Geeks? So they know how to find me. Um, then looking at the future. And this is almost the end of the presentation. Looking at the future. Well, what does the future bring for Beer Geeks? What does the future bring for Facebook? I don't know. We see Facebook declining. But what I do see is you can still have an active community. A community where you can make connections, real life connections with people, and not just keyboard warriors trying to be a hero behind the screen, but have an active community still growing and still caring about descriptions of beer, still caring about being in each other's presence, etc. Will Facebook still exist in 10 years? I have no clue. Will Beer Geeks be still as popular as it is now? I have no clue. What I do know is we're still growing. We're still a community that goes camping on the weekends, that still do twice a year Beer Geek swap, that goes walking together through different kinds of cities. Um, I've been enjoying it, being the founder and administrator since 2013. It has brought me here. It has brought me with you, which is already also a different kind of connection, which I love. And what happens in the future, to be honest, I don't know. Let's see what happens. So with this, I would like to thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. Oh, sorry. I was gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay. Yes. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And I would love to hear if you got some questions or not, or some tips you want from my side, or I'm open for
Thanks,
anything.
Ferry. That was absolutely brilliant. There are some questions, there's some links because I think some of your members have been responding, which is brilliant because that's a community thing, isn't it? The community are posting. So I don't know. Do you want me to read them out, or do you want to go to the top of the chat and look through them
uh,
yourself? How do you prefer?
if you can read out some questions, because the
Sure
chat
thing.
is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
doing
Some of them are
well.
in Dutch, so I'm going to struggle with the Dutch one.
Ah, let me
But
see.
I think some links. I think one of the questions was you met. I think this is the one I answered. Why was somebody asked why was there a peak on the 25th of the 4th that particular year? Was it because of a long weekend, King's Day,
I
Koningsdag?
think so. We celebrated King's Day in that weekend. So because I also noticed the peak and I started to look in my agenda what's happening. But we had a long weekend there because we had the King's Day King's celebration weekend. So there you can see people being happy and posting a lot of stuff for posting an orange pilsner. Eh? We as Dutch we like the color orange, so we have orange pilsners in on the King's Day. So I think that's the reason of the peak of that particular one.
Okay. And somebody's asked about well, I asked about the beer domination map. So I think there's a confusion. Some people thought I thought it was possibly a list of where your members are, but it's not. It's a list of recommended venues.
Yes, so we it basically came out of the amount of questions people post on. I will be visiting the city of Haarlem. Where should I go this weekend? So we get this question in the group so often. Or I'm going to Cologne in Germany. What should I visit? So we got this question so often, and people just started replying with, "Well, you use the search button or whatever." So we decided to make a positive spin on this and have people put their own reviews of places where they went to recommend to another beer geek. So if you now look at the recommendations of Google Maps, well, that's sometimes advertisement or that's sometimes not a real review. When you look at the Beer Geeks World Domination Map, those are real reviews by real beer geeks who really were there and who recommend those places to another beer geek visiting. So that's the Beer Geeks World Domination Map. And it's a possibility to overlay it with Google Maps, but I am always struggling with that part.
Okay, another question. Somebody's asking, what do you do for a living? Because If you're spending all your time on beer gigs, what do you do
Yes.
for?
I'm not making any money. Let me put that real clear. I'm not making any money from beer geeks. Not at all. There's only one person making money from beer geeks, and that's Mark Zuckerberg. And no one is paying
I think the
contribution.
question was about your time. How do you manage
Yeah.
the time? Do the people
Yeah.
you work for allow you the time to spend on beer?
Yes, I work 36 hours a week, non-beer related. I work in a laboratory in Wageningen in the Netherlands. I work with plants. I extract DNA from plants. So it's a very different topic. I'm hoping to be able to do that with hops one day so I can combine everything together. But yes, every other moment I have, I spent on beer gigs, I spent on the community. And of course, also with my lovely wife and kids, because I do have a really nice family at home. But I do spend a huge amount of time with this community.
I can imagine. And another question, are the beer walks always in a city?
Yes, because we always want to combine it with some beer spots. We always want to visit a brewery or a store or a shop or a bar, and you can't find those in open nature. So we always go to a certain city. We do a beer walk there where we can maybe combine it with some nature attached to the city or within the city. But yes, it's usually a city where we combine walking and having some nice beer adventures in a brewery, etc. Yes.
Okay, and one of your members has responded to a question from somebody who's starting a new brewery saying, how do you post requests? And the response from Tina was, what people often do is send it to a few well-known beer geeks
Mhm.
who try and post about it. So it's a community.
Yes. Yes. So as a new brewery or as a brewery, you cannot post your own beer in the group if you're commercially involved in your post. That's not allowed because that's advertisement. So I get this question asked a lot. Can you please post it for me as a goodwill? But what you also can do, you can just ask well-known beer geeks to post it for you. This person just does not has cannot be commercially involved in the post they are doing themselves. Otherwise, it will be advertisement. But these are kind of ways around our little system.
Okay. And a question about language. Do non-Dutch speakers contribute? And if so, how do they use the
Yes.
Facebook's translation tools? And can
Yeah.
they post in their own? How do they post? Do they have to
No.
translate it
Yeah.
before they post?
We have this rule coming from a time where the translation button was not there yet. So we have this rule: you can either post in Dutch or in English. We have a lot of people posting in Dutch, of course, and nowadays there's a translation button which works quite well. So it automatically translates. But if you're not a Dutch member and you want to post, feel free. We really invite you to, because we don't want it to be a Dutch community only. And then you can either post in Dutch, but you can also use Google Translate, or you might even post in your own language, and the Dutch people, use the translate button. But in the principle, we ask people to post in Dutch or in English. And everybody here can read English and comment in English, so that's not a problem.
Thank you. And a question, do you have any members who do home brewing? Is home brewing an
Yeah,
aspect of Beer Geeks?
for sure. Yeah, really, we do. Well, if you take a look at the members of Beer Geeks, we have all kinds of beer people in there. So the commercial brewers in there, but also the hospitality industry with the bars and the restaurants. They're also all members. The retail, the distributors, because it's a very interesting group to take account, to take notice. So all of these people are in there. Also homebrewers. There's a lot of homebrewers in there. Sometimes we get questions on a homebrew, like my homebrew won't ferment. Does anyone have any tips? And then you can see people, also homebrewers, responding. Well, have you tried this or have you tried that? Personally, I'm a big fan of homebrewing, and I don't do it myself, but I do love tasting all homebrews because they are actually sometimes really well done. And I like to post about homebrews as well. So yeah, they're also part of the community.
And another question is, do you think, or what do you think traditional consumer organizations like Pint and for me, Camera, what could we learn from beer gigs? Because one thing I noticed, your age profile is definitely shifted to the left, whereas
Yes.
Cameras is far more to the
Yes.
right, and I suspect for Pint as well.
For Pint is the same as camera, yes, for sure. Well, what you can learn, well, I think it's about building a community, and this is actually what my like take-home message would be for this webinar. Building a community is not only printing a magazine and hoping people will read it, but it's being active on the socials, being active on um, getting people to know each other in real life, being active in any beer news, post it immediately. Don't wait a week or so before posting it. No, if you want the latest news in beer industry, we post it in Beer Geeks first. You can see it first in the group, and then it will go to the media, etc. So be active, and be social, and um, organize stuff and make sure to like this beer geek swap we do twice a year. It's not a real life thing. We don't see each other in real life, but we do see twice a year people ecstatic and completely happy with the beer they got from a person they don't know at all. So a community is more than just asking people to join and releasing some magazine or whatever. It's about being active on the socials and being active in real life with each other.
Yeah.
Pint actually is doing great, by the way. I don't want to talk bad about Pint or Comma or whatever, but I do love them. I'm also a member of Pint, and they also started now to become active, real on the socials and changing the strategy a little bit to try to get the bar more to the left than to the right.
Yeah. It's communities about multiple organizations working together, aren't they?
Yes, yes, for sure. And that's why the EBCU is a great example. That's why the Beer Geeks is also an associated member of the EBCU, of course.
Absolutely, thanks. And I suppose the other thing I should mention, Ferry, is that there's an awful lot of really positive comments and thanks for the webinar from your Beer Geeks community, but also from others who've really enjoyed the webinar. So thank you for that. What I would like
Nice
to,
to hear.
what I would like to do, Ferry, is just remind folk that if you have enjoyed this webinar, please donate a beer. Very easy to do. Donate a beer for EBCU. It means we can continue these webinars in the future. And what I would like to say is, Ferry, is thank you very much. It's been a wonderful webinar. And don't forget, if you came in late or you got friends who would like to watch it, it will be available on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. So all our webinars are available online for you to watch at your convenience. Thank you, Ferry. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much also for the invitation, and thank you to all people who joined.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye bye.